Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday the 5th. Goodness, this month is flying by. I'm so busy. So on that note, it's 11. I have some people coming in and putting my countertops in today. So if I have to cut it short, you'll know why. I think they're coming around noon, but it's 11 now, so if I have to hurry go, I'm going to be really fast today too. So the quote today, Dr. Mom Live, by the way, moving forward series. We're working on foundation work, professional development, goal setting, learning about women of the Bible. I believe we can be empowered, not just women, men too. Their examples, their strengths, we can learn from that. I'm Christian, but that's okay if you're not. I'm not judging if you don't judge me. That's just that's where I get my strength. So I believe the Bible is not only a spiritual guide for me, but it's also a historical book that I can follow and learn lessons from, and helps me keep going in the right direction, right? So what we're talking about is 52 women of the Bible, and we are on, oh goodness, I think we're on 13. It told me here. We are on 13. So we have talked about Adam and Eve. Eve, the first woman. I think most of you know about her eating the apple, and then Adam ate it, and so now we have pain in childbirth. Yay. Sarah and Abraham. Sarah had a baby at 90, so she didn't have faith that it was going to happen. So she gave her handmaiden Hagar to her husband Adam, and then there was big problems. So Hagar's our third one. Hagar ended up getting basically thrown out of the house with her son, but was later blessed by God, her and her son. We talked about Lot's wife. Lot's wife, we never knew her name. She was significant in that she was told not to look back. Angels came through Sodom, I believe it was Sodom or Gomorrah, one of those, and burned the city down. And Lot was a good man, so him and his wife and two daughters were spared. And the angels actually grabbed their hands and pulled them out of the city and said, okay, keep going, don't look back. So Lot's wife looked back and turned to a pillar of stone, salt, and was no more. Rebecca is our next one. Rebecca remember, she met at the well. She met Abraham's servant, who was sent out to find his son Isaac a wife. Rebecca said all the right things that God said to look for, and then she became his wife. One of the things I want to keep you thinking about, though, is that we are following the lineage of Christ, and God kept his lineage pure. He wanted he wanted them to stay in a certain lineage of people. And so in certain situations, if someone didn't follow it, like I think it was in the case of Jacob, he married a Canaanite. He ended up losing two of his sons. The Canaanites were practicing pagan religions and things, and worshiping other gods and things like that. So Abraham wanted to make sure his son married within the right bloodline. And so Rebecca was that one. She had two sons, remember. She favored Jacob over Esau and tricked her husband into giving the birthright away to Jacob. And so it broke up their family. The boys left. Esau was trying to kill his brother Jacob for taking it, and Jacob fled, which leads us into Rachel and Leah. Rachel and Leah were two sisters. Jacob wanted to marry Rachel. She was beautiful. The younger sister, Leah, was, I think they called her plain. I'm just going to say that. She was the older sister, however. So their dad tricked Jacob into marrying Leah first. And Jacob had worked for him for 7 years for the right of the marriage to Rachel. he got tricked in and married the older sister first. Then he said, well, okay, I'll work another 7 years if you'll give me Rachel, because he was in love with her. So he ended up with 2 wives. The 2 sisters, Rachel and Leah, were jealous of each other. Leah was sad, and so God blessed her with many, many sons. Rachel only had two sons, and in the second, she died at birth. One was Joseph, one was Benjamin, and she died at the second one. So then Leah lived on with, you know, in that family. They ended up having 11 kids. Okay, the next one was Tamar, daughter-in-law to Judea. Now, all of these, this is all the lineage following to the birth of Christ. Tamar was a daughter-in-law to Judah. Judah's the one that married a Canaanite. Tamar was married to his older son, he died. Then she was promised, she married the next son who wouldn't give her children because he didn't want to split his inheritance with this child who would get part of it. So he would not give her a son. He ended up dying. So Judah had promised this Tamar that she would marry the younger son, and he never did that. So she tricked her father-in-law into having sex with her. He was into prostitutes. She dressed up like one, waited alongside the road. Here he comes. So she got pregnant with twins. Okay, so the next we talked about was Potiphar's wife. Potiphar's wife, Potiphar basically ran, I think, a section of Egypt or something. I can't remember exactly his title. But Joseph, remember Joseph, and Joseph was the son of Rachel, and his brothers were jealous of him because he was very handsome and very nice body and everything. Like Rachel was beautiful, right? And so his brothers hated him because his dad loved him more, gave him more attention than the others. Don't do that. And so he ends up getting his brothers take him out, trade him for a slave. He goes in, and then he's working for this Potiphar. And he's a great foreman, Joseph is. And he increases the wealth of Potiphar, but his wife wants him for her own. So she propositioned him constantly, wanting to go to bed with him. And he's like, no, no, no. Eventually she grabs him. He runs out. She's mad. Fury of a woman scorned. She's mad, so she tells her husband he tried to rape me. And so Joseph's thrown in prison again, in the Pharaoh's prison. So next we go to mother of Moses, Jochebed, 2 mothers of Moses, Jochebed and Pharaoh's daughter. So Jochebed, remember, at that time the Pharaoh ordered the execution of all the firstborn male children. We all probably remember this in the 10 Commandments. Jochebed saves her son, puts him in the Nile. The Pharaoh's daughter rescues him and raises Moses. The next one we talk about is Miriam. Miriam is Jochebed's oldest daughter and the oldest, Moses' oldest sister. She actually stays, she doesn't have children ever, but Miriam is kind of she ends up getting in trouble as well. She's jealous of Moses, and she makes some big mistakes along the way. Ends up getting leprosy because she was mouthing off about Joseph behind his back, and God said, don't do that. So lesson learned, right? So she didn't make it into the promised land, but neither did Moses. So the next one we talk about is Rahab. That was yesterday. Let's see. Rahab, sorry, I had to refresh myself. She was a prostitute that was at the city when they came in. They were going to burn the city down. They, meaning the Israelites, I believe. They were going to their promised land, and she knew that they were going to take over the promised land, right? Because God had their favor. So she ended up helping to save two of the men going through, save their life. And then they told her to make sure you put this certain ribbon on your door so that when the Israelites come through, they won't kill you or your family. Deborah ended up marrying Solomon later on. And she actually has a direct bloodline to Joseph. Joseph, Jesus's stepdad, right? In the lineage. So sorry, I didn't tell you all the lineage, but if we're talking about him, it's probably either protecting some of the bloodline or they are actually part of it. So think about Rahab. She was a prostitute and she was actually brought in to the bloodline that led to Christ. So that's pretty cool. Okay, today we're talking about Deborah. So I like her. Her name means honeybee. I like that. And I like Deborah. I have always liked her. She's one of the independent women of the time. She's a judge and fights in the armies. I mean, she's a powerful woman, right? I've always liked Deborah. I like powerful women. I like empowered women who are still humble. I don't like women who want to hold it over or try to act like men or don't have feelings. They still remain feminine, right? But they're powerful and they're independent and they want to help other women and all those things. So that's Deborah. Okay, her character, her vision of the world was shaped not by the political situation of her day, but by her relationship with God. Though women in the ancient world did not usually become political leaders, Deborah was just the leader Israel needed. A prophetess who heard God and believed him, whose courage aroused the people, enabling them to throw off foreign oppression. Can you imagine? So God evidently told her destiny and she went ahead and followed it. And so, which couldn't have been easy. She had to have people who didn't want her to achieve what she was doing. We are now in Judges 4 through 5. The Israelites once again did evil in the eyes of the Lord. So the Israelites, remember, they're going to their promised land. They're traveling to their promised land. So the Lord sold them into the hands of Jabin, a king of Canaan, who reigned in Hazor. The commander of his army was Sisera, because he had 900 iron chariots and had cruelly oppressed the Israelites. Oh my goodness, for 20 more years. Remember, they were already oppressed for years and years, and I believe they lived in the desert 40 years, waiting to go to the promised land with Moses. Okay, so he oppressed the Israelites for 20 years. They cried to the Lord for help. Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, was leading Israel at that time. See, that's pretty interesting. She held court under the palm of Deborah, and the Israelites came to her to have their disputes decided. She sent for Barak and said to him, "The Lord, the God of Israel, commands you, go take with you 10,000 men. I will lure Sisera and give him into your hands." She was also a warrior. A lot of times she would go out and fight, lead the armies with the men. Barak said to Deborah, "If you go with me, I will go. But if you don't go with me, I won't go." "Very well," Deborah said, "I will go with you. But because of the way you're going about this, the honor will be yours. The honor will not be yours. For the Lord will hand Sisera over to a woman." So Deborah went with Barak. So in other words, if he would have went by himself, believing that God was on his side and would give him the victory, he would have got the spoils of the war, basically, the credit. But because he didn't trust and have faith, it's going to be Deborah that gets the credit. At Barak's advance, all the troops of Sisera fell by the sword. Not a man was left. So, see, Deborah's life and times. While women leaders were uncommon in Israelite society, they were not unheard of. In this time of the Judges, when Israel was spiritually malnourished, in civic disorder, and oppressed by its enemies, Deborah stepped up to the challenge. Her leadership role probably evolved gradually. That's what I was wondering. I'm glad they're telling us. As her wisdom in making judgments became known, when God spoke to Deborah, she immediately responded by calling to Barak to lead the people in a battle against their oppressor for 20 years. Barak's reluctance to go without Deborah starkly revealed Israel's lack of strong male leadership. So evidently she had to stand up. It still couldn't have been easy. Deborah was the only female to hold the position of judge in Israel, but she was not the only female prophet. Several others are listed. Miriam, so we remember Miriam was a prophet. Huldah, Noadiah, and Anna, and 4 unmarried daughters of Philip the evangelist. Scripture describes Deborah as a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth. Interestingly, when Deborah described herself, she didn't use terms like prophet or wife or judge or general or leader or any other term of influence and power. She described herself as a mother in Israel. That's cool. Judges 5:7. Her position was one of mother not only to her own biological children, but mother to all the children of Israel. Though they had forgotten not only who they were, but also whom they served, their mother Deborah reminded them and led them in a victory procession to peace. Our life and times. Perhaps you're not in an influential position of authority. You can still be a mother to your children and the children in your neighborhood and lead them in the right direction. Perhaps you have little power in your job or position. You can still be a mother to those around you and inspire them to righteousness. Perhaps your life allows little time or opportunity for significant positions of leadership. You can still be a mother in your sphere, whether big or small. Influence, you can still be, wielding influence far beyond your lowly position. You can be like Deborah, used of God to be a mother in Israel. That's pretty cool. I like Deborah. I always have. Powerful and humble women are pretty awesome. That's all I got to say. Okay, I'm just going to look at this other piece and see if there's some more in it that we can study. Sorry, I've got to have some coffee. And it's going to be fast today. I thank you, Lord, that you love to. Oh, that's a prayer. Okay. We're going to keep going down this way. Okay. The main point is the Lord calls ordinary people to do extraordinary things that can only be accomplished through the Spirit. The story of Deborah in Judges 4 and 5 begins like many of the stories in the book of Judges. The Israelites sinned against the Lord, and he sold them out to King Jabin of Canaan. This went on for 20 years until the Israelites cried out to the Lord for help. At that time, Deborah was leading Israel as a judge. She sent for Barak, a commander in Israel's army, and told him to go and fight Jabin's army led by Sisera. See, so God answers prayers. Let's don't ever forget that. Barak said he would only go if Deborah went with him. Deborah agreed, but told Barak the honor would not go to him because the Lord will deliver Sisera into the hands of a woman. When Barak's armies advance, the Lord roused Sisera's army, and Sisera flees on foot. Sisera goes to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber, because there was an alliance between King Jabin and Heber's family. Jael invited Sisera in and served him refreshments. Sisera was so exhausted he fell asleep. Jael, I find this one. So Sisera, the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber. So I find this one interesting too. So this Jael, when he was sleeping, this Sisera was sleeping. So maybe he wasn't a very nice man, right? Jael took a hammer and pounded a tent peg into his temple, killing him. The Israelites fought against King Jabin until they destroyed him. Deborah and Barak sang a song of praise, and Israel had peace for another 40 years. So there we go again, right? Okay. Digging deeper, let's see what this one. Deborah was a busy woman. Judges 4:5 says, she held court under the palm of Deborah between Ramon and Bethel in the hill country of Ephraim. And the Israelites went up to her to have their disputes decided. Deborah was a woman of great wisdom, revelation, and discernment. She also had a prophetic gift, including knowing the times and seasons of the Lord. She clearly heard the voice of the Lord and followed them because it was her choice. She didn't have to. Judges 5:12 says, wake up, Deborah, wake up and break out in song. Arise, Barak, take captive your captive son of Ambinomam. Deborah and Barak needed to wake up and arise to a new revelation and dimensions of their calling. The Lord was telling them to be alert and pay attention as he was about to move in an extraordinarily different way. Villagers in Israel would not fight. They held back until I, Deborah, arose, until I arose, a mother in Israel. All the things Deborah could have legitimately called herself, judge, prophetess, deliverer, intercessor, worshiper, she chose to call herself a mother. She was first and foremost a mother. This much seems clear, but it is unclear who her children were. She was a mother in Israel, but also a mother over Israel. It can be translated both ways. She saw all of Israel as her children and longed for all of her children, literal and figurative, to experience peace and security. So she loved them all. I think she must have felt like them as her family, and wanted to take care of them. Notice the verse says no one in Israel would fight until Deborah arose. The Israelites were beaten down by 20 years of slavery. They were too tired and discouraged to fight. They needed someone to inspire them, and the Lord chose Deborah. If she had not been obedient to act on what the Lord told her to do, nothing would have changed. She used the place of trust and authority she had been given as a judge to inspire Barak to raise up an army. Deborah was a worshiping warrior. She found encouragement and strength in worship to be obedient to everything the Lord was asking her to do. If Deborah had played small in her life, she would have not had all the experiences that led to her being used by the Lord to deliver Israel from bondage once again. So Moses, remember, delivered them when they were in captivity to Egypt, and now Deborah has led them to freedom. She would not have had wisdom and revelation to judge disputes. She would not have heard the Lord's strategic battle plans as an intercessor. She would not have extended her compassionate mother's heart beyond her family to all of Israel. She would not have brought healing and empowerment to a whole nation. Barak was told to arise and take captive your captives. He was reluctant to go to war without Deborah, but in the end, he was obedient to rise up an army and go where Deborah commanded him. This step of obedience was also necessary to fulfill the plans of the Lord. Deborah's story would not be complete without acknowledging Jael, another woman who stepped up to literally stake her claim in history. Jael was in the right place at the right time and did what she knew she had to do. Deborah called Jael most blessed of tent-dwelling women. Jael was a homemaker who was invaluable to winning the war. She is called and we are called. One of the most fun and exciting opportunities I have received in my life began because I was a mother. 12 years ago, I was invited. So this is actually the author talking about what she's doing. I like this part. The Lord never wastes an experience. And I now realize, this is kind of her life. Let's go down here. The Lord prepared Deborah in the place of her worship, which helped her grow in confidence in hearing God's voice. Her intentional connection to God through worship gave her confidence as she discerned the time to go to war. The Lord will do the same with us. As we go deeper in relationship with God, God will guide us to clarity around our call for this session of kingdom work. God can use many ways to confirm it to us over and over. As Christ followers, we are embarking on an exciting journey of serving the Lord here on earth. Women and men of God, it's time for you to be bold and courageous and do the unique and amazing thing God is calling you to do. Step out, jump off the stage, be vulnerable, move forward if you're being called to do it, right? Whatever the Lord has placed you, will you accept the challenge to be the light in the darkness of the kingdom of God? Will you encourage others to do it? Wake up and rise to the shine of glory of God everywhere you go. You carry the hope this world needs, the hope of Jesus Christ, and it's time to stop hiding and playing small. Open up your soul, let your light shine. A dying, hopeless world is waiting for you to be obedient. Believe and trust God as the very best plan for you, and follow him to where he is working today. Okay, I think that's it for that part of us. I was just reading some of the quotes to see if we want to read some. Let's see, here's one that's good. Maria Claire, I forgot about my pain. Now I am overwhelmed with happiness. I talked to the other women and they give me courage and advice. They support me. I don't see much else in that one. Let's see. Oh, that was International Women's Day, I think. Oh, not the same one. Okay. Whew. Sorry guys, I am in such a hurry today. Oh, this is kind of good. Remember, you guys know pink. I like this. Once you figure out what respect tastes like, it tastes better than attention. Okay, I like this one too. This is Belle Estreller. Do not tame the wolf inside you just because you've met someone who doesn't have the courage to handle you. So just be yourself, even if it doesn't, like, people around you don't maybe like you. I mean, that's going to happen, right? Not everybody's going to like you. Just continue to be yourself, no matter what. Princess Diana, I like this one. I don't go by the rule book. I lead from the heart, not the head. Which kind of got her into trouble, but, you know. Amelia Earhart, I like this one. The most difficult thing is a decision to act. The rest is merely tenacity. A strong woman looks a challenge dead in the eye and gives it a wink. Truly powerful women don't explain why they want respect. They simply don't engage with those who don't give it to them. I like that a lot. Okay, strong women aren't simply born. We are forged through the challenges of life. With each challenge, we grow mentally and emotionally. We move forward with our head held high and a strength that cannot be denied. A woman who's been through the storm and survived. We are warriors. That's really good. Okay, that's a super good one, you guys. With that, I think I'm going to do our reading for today, our devotion, and then I've got to get busy. Boy, I've got a lot to do. It's getting close to moving, and I've got to get everything done. May 5th today. I think today's supposed to be 80 here. Let's see. Oh, goodness. 66. Tomorrow, 81. Beautiful. Beautiful. I need to mow. I have so many things to do. I have to have a yard sale this weekend, too. Yikes. Come to me for all that you need. Come into my presence with thanksgiving, for thankfulness opens the door to my treasures. When you are thankful, you affirm the central truth that I am good. I am light, in whom there is no darkness at all. The assurance that I am entirely good meets your basic need for security. Your life is not subject to the whims of a sin-stained deity. Relax in the knowledge that the one who controls your life is totally trustworthy. Come to me with confident expectations. There is nothing you need that I cannot provide. Psalms 95:2, 1 John 1:5. Okay, oh gosh, goodness. Well, you guys, that's fast. Tomorrow we're talking about Jael. Oh, she's the one that put the stake in the guy's temple. Wow, right? That couldn't have been, but she knew she had to do it because he must have been evil. Okay. Yay for powerful women, all really women who follow what God tells them to do. Because that couldn't have been easy either, right? That couldn't have been easy. I can't even imagine. Wow. Okay. I'm getting a call. I don't know what that means. So with that, I better get a move on. Much love to you all. Blessings for today. Enjoy the sunshine.